Hello, my loves. Hello, you beautiful beings. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Randy Morgan. This is just where we open up space to let whatever needs to be seen or heard or expressed or whatever messages spirit wants to relay. This is just a space where we hold space and where I go on my little wisdom rants, and I do so with the intention that this will help somebody in some way, shape, or form, wherever you're at in your journey. If you're here, I trust that there may be something here for you or for someone that you love dearly. And so let's get on with it. I have no idea what we're talking about today. Today really feels like a collective energy read kind of day. And so just as I kind of tap in intuitively to that energy, I feel like there's a lot settling. There's a lot settling. And if we think of a storm, or even better, a tornado, where things are being wisped around and there's lots happening, it feels like that has been the last couple weeks that we've been navigating, or even months or years. And we are now coming out of, and I don't mean we as in everyone, I mean we as in this collective that I'm speaking to. Um, and and if you resonate with this, you could be somebody who's highly sensitive. You could be somebody who considers themselves a healer, or has a lot to do with like light work and shadow work and all of these areas. Um, but on a deeper level, you're here for more. You know that you're different. You know that you've been going through what feels like a spiritual initiation. And so take this as if it resonates for you. But if you found this video, I trust that it probably will, or spirit is bringing this video to you for a reason, and asking you to contemplate things a little bit deeper. Spirit, God, angels, deity, whatever that higher power is to you that beats your heart without you having to think about it. It can just be essence energy of earth, or universal energy, whatever you want to call it. That essence is what brought us here today. And so I'm trailing a little bit, and this energy is, it feels like there is a need for deep grounding. It feels like there is a need for like conscious, intentional, like bringing yourself back here, back into this moment. And so I invite you, if you would like to join me in on this little practice, is just to take a deep breath, have yourself in a comfortable location. If you're working or driving, obviously, you know, make those things priority, but follow along as you wish or can. So taking a deep breath in through your nose and a deep breath out through your mouth, allowing yourself to arrive into this moment fully here. Breathing, listening, allowing. The reason that practice feels so significant in this moment because we are human, and we get caught up in our humanness, and it's really good to ground back into this moment and just take a little sacred pause amidst all of it. And the way these conversations normally go, if you're a returning follower, you know that sometimes I start talking about one thing and something else comes of it. And so that is quite possibly what's happening because I can't even remember what was coming through previously. And so I'm just going to allow that to be. And maybe that is also an energy that we can check into and just bring awareness into because everything is coming and going. You know, change is the only constant we have in life. And so that's it, right? Maybe this is just a very subtle reminder to allow ourselves to be in that flow, the ebb and the flow of life being life, of, you know, excuse me, the the imperfection or the perfection of imperfection, the essence of not being perfect, you know, and not having it all together and not having it all figured out. That's a big theme for me currently, and perhaps you may resonate with this as I feel um, inclined to share. Is is that I've committed to showing up here every day, even though sometimes I'm gonna show up and my hair is being crazy, like today, and I'm gonna throw on a hat and and I didn't sleep the best, and I feel tired, you know, but I'm still going to show up. Still going to show up, even though my imperfection might be louder today than most days. And it's just one of these very beautiful moments to remind ourselves, remind myself, and each other that we can still meet that part of ourselves with compassion. We can still say, hey, you're kind of not doing a great job today, but you showed up and thank you. Or maybe you are doing a really great job today and you're actually kicking butt for the resources you have available or the energy that's in your body or, you know, what you have to give might not be 100%, but you're doing a great freaking job with whatever percent it is that you're giving. And and it's just a beautiful thing to acknowledge that, but with love. I know so often I myself and many of my loved ones meet themselves with this, you know, the critic. We're always our worst critic or our worst, like judgment and just really harsh judgment. And it's not always with compassion. Like you can have critical judgment towards self the without the like do better, you know. We can meet these parts of ourselves and say, okay, you're kind of sucking today, but we will get through this, or it's gonna get better, or just keep learning, or um you know. And I think that's such a really beautiful thing even to recognize in this moment with myself and with anybody else who is listening is like we're allowed to suck. Sometimes we're allowed to um fail and fall and show up half-ass and I know this might not resonate for everybody, and I get that, but for those that it does resonate with, you might hold yourself to an extremely high standard that can be absolutely soul crushing at times. And it feels like often a bar is set so high that it's unattainable. Or, you know, perhaps you had a parent that set the bar so high, it feels like it's an unattainable level. And so you hold yourself to this standard that wasn't made by you, it was made by your parent, or it was made by society, or, you know, um, and so just to yeah, acknowledge that. Acknowledge that maybe the standards, like it's good to have high standards, but the standards we set for ourselves might not be our standards, and perhaps it's good to evaluate them and also recognize like how can I meet myself with more compassion while trying to maintain a standard, or what are the boundaries within meeting that standard, and how deep do you want to unravel that, because that is truly how we can attain more inner harmony in our internal world, is recognizing, and just to put this into perspective and add an example to it, if I set a standard to show up here every day and make a video every day, regardless of the state I'm in, or how much energy is in my body, or how well you know what I mean, how much time I have in my day, like I'm just showing up. The that is that is the boundaries within the standard, or within the bar I've set, right? It's just I'm going to show up every day for me, regardless of how many people view it, regardless of how many people reach it, regardless of anything. Like, this is the rule, or I don't like to call it rules, but this is the bar that I've set because it's challenging in me in ways that I know is going to help me grow. And so it's good to put into perspective the things that we set priority, or we prioritize, and then understand the boundaries within that priority, because sometimes we have a priority, but there's a boundary that, oh, well, if I have to, miss work to meet that priority, then that might no longer hold it as a priority. Do you get what I'm saying? I know this feels like I'm trying to cut right through, but it feels like a very in-depth topic that like it has layers. And so it's just interesting. It's interesting to navigate in conversation, and openly, and um all these thoughts in our mind can whirl around, and I know myself, I get really internally cluttered when I don't allow myself to express through my voice. And so it's really important to have these expressions, to have these areas of, and still here we go. The flow is just flowing on. None of these topics may be related. Maybe they're slightly related, but not really. But whatever it is, it's relaying a message that someone needs to hear, or multiple, or a collective needs to hear. And so if you're still here with me and you make it to the end of this video, please drop me a prayer hands emoji just to let me know you made it to the end. I appreciate that so very much. But yeah, we have these, if you're somebody that has a lot of thought process, and I feel like there's a collective of us that do have a lot going on internally at all times, it's really important to have that expression somewhere, whether it's artistic or verbal or written, um, art, music, whatever that is for you. Like songwriting is coming through, singing. That is it's so necessary to have these little practices of self-expression in order to clear what goes on in our inner world, because there's so much going on internally all the time, at least for me, and I know for those that resonate with this. And so let that be, just a gentle reminder, whether you needed it or not, to check in, and ask yourself, how can I add more ease within, and maybe it's not as much of like adding anything else to your routine, or your day or your to-do list, and more of like less. I would be like, I need to journal more. I need to do this more. I need to da, 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 da. And I find if I just